Speaker, Action SA supports the River Town Public Upgrade Project. It is very disturbing to note that the Ocean Umhlanga was given a debt relief for 35 million over the 3-year period. We want to know what criteria was given to this public company. Interest was written off, and also why is the city is supporting and funding Ocean Umhlanga. If you calculate the interest over 3 years, is about 10 million the city is going to be losing. Speaker, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Paruk. Councillor Ngumalo.
Speaker, angibingelele ngokuhloniphekile. Ubas Galaxy, all protocol observed. I-Catholic project le CPU lese beachfront thina ANC sayisupport ngalezi izathu. I-funding yakhona iqhamuka from a National Treasury Urban Settlement Development Grant, which is USDG, ne-council funding. Okokuqala ilungisa ukuthi kube khona izinto ezinhle lapha ne-infrastructure. Okwesibili i-party transformation, because ngiyazi ukuthi abanye abayifuna i-transformation, but it's part of the transformation program with the investment value of 500 million. I-Riverton Public Realm Upgrade Project is identified through Inner City Regeneration Program, ICR. Izokwazi ukuthi ihlanganise i-ICC International Convention Center ne-Durban Beachfront in line with the local area plan, ILAP. Izosiza ke lana ukuthi izoprovide ama-opportunities for private galleries, Thekwini, nama-small theatre, nama-restaurant, nama-other entertainment venues. Izokwazi ukuthi even nama-resident akwazi ukujabula nokuthi nama-market nazonke izinto ezenzekayo abantu abadayisayo nabenza ubuhlalo. It develop even a cultural precinct that offers local and international tourism experience. Kakhulu kuyimpahla eyidayiswayo nokunye. So i-value yakhona estimated ku 3,835,000. So ngalawo mazwi ke sithi le experience izosiza la thina siyithi ukuthi ithekulukazi ukuthi lidonsa abantu abavakashi libe lihle futhi itheke nokuthi loba yi-part of i-transformation sohlanganisa ne-ICC ne-Durban Beachfront. Thina ANC ngamafishane nje sithi le program lene sihambisana nayo basicela ke la authority ukuthi i-approve. Ngiyabonga somlomo.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ngumalo. Councillors, are the recommendations agreed?
Agreed.
City Manager, next item.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Page 27, direct report. Item 4, adoption of integrated development plan process plan for the 2025-2026 financial year. Committee recommends.
Page 27, item 4, no speakers. Are the recommendations agreed, councillors? Next item, Sompis.
Item 5, election of chairpersons, Human Settlements, Engineering and Transport Committee. Committee recommends.
Page 29, item 5, 2 speakers. IFP, Councillor M. Kuala. Action SA, Councillor Z. Mngwango. Councillor Kuala.
Sibonga Somlomo. As IFP, we have a serious concern on what induction had the ESCO give the EFF after a motion that was tabled months ago of saying the EFF is failing and not trusted. 2, it was also too confusing what was the aim of the ESCO in splitting the HSI committee into 2, whereas when we inaugurate the council, the committee was given to Deputy Mayor of then Councillor Mavundla fully. It was then given to the EFF. Muntu yazibuza ukuthi yini le ewuguquko noma uginqigonqo elokho yenziwa. We have no grudges with EFF, but bad-mouthing certain individual using resources is the thing of the past, and it is a cheap politics. As IFP, we urge our mayor too also plays a role on assisting the cluster, especially the housing backlog. Because comes 2026, we might sit with the majority of MK in this house as councillors because of empty promises by the administration that puts our honorable councillors into a huge trap of being not trusted by their respective communities. I thank you.
Councillor Mwango.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Covered.
Honourable Speaker, it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation just because there was a failure on the deal that the ANC and DA made when we were electing the mayor. But one have to say, we now have a new chairperson. We will request that as parties, we support Councillor Mvubu in this journey. This is a very critical portfolio where he will need support from all of us. So I think it's time we can put aside politics and give our colleague the support he needs. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Uzuyo nogwala.
Are the recommendations noted, councillors? City Manager, next item.
Somfakisa isandla.
Okay. I will now invite the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Mieni, to table the second report of the Executive Committee. Councillor Mieni.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. May I present the second Executive Committee report? I thank you.
Thank you very much. City Manager, may you please present the item?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The second report of the Executive Committee from their meeting of the 29th of the 10th, 2024. Item 1 is the report of Governance and Human Resources Committee from their meeting of the 23rd of the 10th, 2024. Item 1.1, naming of streets in Ward 7 covering West Town Estate. Committee recommends.
Thank you very much. Councillors, page 30. Item 1.1, right? Are the recommendations agreed? Next item, City Manager.
Item 1.2, request for reprioritization of 2024-2025 approved capital budget for eThekwini Municipal Academy. Committee recommends.
Recommendations are on page 32, item 1.2.1. Are all the recommendations agreed, councillors? Thank you, City Manager.
Item 1.3, request for extension of closing date, Sundry Grant in Aid for 2024-2025 financial year. Committee recommends.
Page 33, item 1.3, I've got the list of speakers. The first speaker from the IFP is Councillor Nchai. The second speaker from the HNSA is Councillor Zeti Mwango. The third speaker from the Democratic Alliance, Councillor J. Black. The fourth speaker is Councillor N. Kaula from the EFF. The last speaker is Councillor N. Lovu from the ANC. In that order, Councillor Nchai.
Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker.
Yes, who's that?
How? Sisters.
It's Councillor Black. I'm wanting to make an amendment to this item, please.
Okay, let's Councillor Nchai approaches. Let me take the amendment from the councillor before I invite speakers on the substantive item.
Okay, all protocols observed. The closing date for this new application process is for 2 days' time. For us to pass it today and expect councillors to get out there and assist NGOs and the like is a little bit unreasonable. The Democratic Alliance would like to make an amendment to change the date to the end of November, just to make it more workable and easy for applicants to get everything they need in. 30th of November.
Okay, thank you. Can you fill up the form and so that I can get the seconder of the proposed amendment. I hope that you have concluded your motivation for the proposed amendment, I assume.
I have, Speaker. Thank you. Concluded.
Thank you. Let me get the form. While I'm waiting for the form, who second the proposed amendment? Before you sign, just an indication, your name.
It's Councillor Munian, Speaker.
Councillor Munian, thank you very much. Councillors, while we are waiting for the form to be properly filled with the proposed amendment, you have heard the councillor that he proposed that council move the date to the end of November.
Sayiseka le. Siseke impela.
Is the amendment supported, councillors?
Supported.
Okay, thank you very much. The amendment is supported. Let's go back now to the substantive item. Councillor Chai Chai.
Thank you, Speaker. Adding on what the councillor has just submitted now, also we will wish to request for our communities to be assisted when they are applying for SANG grant in aid, because there are challenges that they come across. That is why we find them having isikhathi eside ukuthi mhlambe bakwazi ukusubmit, abanye bagcine bengasubmitanga. Again, siyafisa ukuthi sibone ukuthi akukhethwa phela emasini when they are approving lama grants. They just give our community assistance as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chai Chai. Councillor Mwango.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, one must say it's important to note that Executive Committee recommend to Council. It doesn't make decisions. Now, while one supports the recommendation, but it's concerning that the advertising has been done and is already out before the Council meeting. And I think this must be corrected in future, Honourable Speaker. We can't have ESCO making decisions and then proceed with the decision without council resolution. Because the question is, what will happen if...
Point of order, Speaker.
Point of order, Councillor Chetwa.
I don't think that it is correct for Councillor Mngang to say the Executive Committee has proceeded with advertising this. I am certainly a member of the Executive Committee. I've never advertised anything. So if there's a blame, it must be apportioned to the relevant people, not the Executive Committee.
The point of order is sustained. Councillor Mngango, proceed.
Okay, let's sustain it. But, Honourable Speaker, the point is, if the cracks is within the officials, it must be corrected. Because what will happen if Council were to make an amendment or reject the recommendation? What happened in that case? Because every day, Council make a final decision. It's just for me to say, in future, let's make sure that maybe city manager must make sure that it doesn't happen in future. We mustn't allow this. Thank you.
Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Mngango. Councillor Black on the substantive item.
Sorry, I was just down there to make the amendment. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you for that. Councillor Kaula, EFF.
Ngibonge covered nami ngifuna ukuphakamisa isiphakamiso sokuthi kwenziwe amendment. Ngiyabonga.
Okay. Nasibhale phansi. While sibhala phansi ke uyikhulumisa. Ukuthi thini?
Speaker, I'm covered by the DA.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Ngiyaxolisa ngizwanga ngathi bengicabanga ukuthi you are bringing something new. Thank you very much for the clarification.
A fighter. Cover DA.
Councillor Ndlovu, ANC.
Sibonga somlomo, simelele wonke ama councillors, officials and all protocol observed. As the pro-majoritarian organization, the ANC, we support the extension of sundry grant in aid on the basis that Somlomo, on the closing date in July, only 375 applications were received, as compared to 837 which was received the previous financial year. Speaker will be aware that such intervention is meant to benefit our African communities in particular. We therefore, as the ANC, support this reopening of this application process and urge our communities to take full advantage of this program. But also, Speaker, kubalulekile ukuthi ama-members of the community, they do liaise with all community mobilizers babo so that they will get further assistance. Siyabonga kakhulu Somlomo.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ndlovu. Councillors, are the recommendation agreed? Before I move to the next item, I have been informed by my team that in our midst there is our former councillor from ADEC, Councillor Viz Reddy. I just want to acknowledge him.
Are we getting a show?
He's currently a member of parliament
Who cares?
in Cape Town. It has become a practice and a norm in council that when we've been visited by leaders from other spheres of government, we acknowledge them and give them the respect they deserve. Hence, we acknowledge the presence of the former councillor who is cold outside there. Thank you very much, Councillor, Member of Parliament, Mr. Reddy. Thank you very much.
You must stand up.
City Manager.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Item 1.
Ngelanga kuzofika umhlonishwa osuka in political party afike la kwi-council kumele sim-acknowledge ayiwandi ukuthi le howling eniyenzayo niyoyenza yini.
Next.
Sisibenda, proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Item 1.4, ad hoc granting aid to support people with disability event. Committee recommends.
Page 34, item 1.4. There are two speakers, Councillor Argumalo, IFP with 4 minutes donated from MOSA, TA, Al-Jama, and Action SA, then Councillor Ndlovu. Councillor Argumalo?
No, thank you very much, Speaker. As IFP, we support this initiative of training for people living with disability. It is unfortunate and shameful that there are still people who are discriminating people living with disability. Those people do not deserve to live in our society, but because there is no intention of abandoning a person, that is why we have kept them. Instead, we urge the council to put in place similar program to educate those societies. People living with disability, they must not be afraid to highlight the work they are capable of doing so that the government will support them. You can live with disability. That is God's nature like every human being. But it doesn't mean that you can't be employed or promote your skills and be supported by government. I will make an example of people living with disability and those who use wheelchairs to reach their destination. Khotsago Mojano, a women who won in 2024, the South African Women Wellington. Uskwili, our own, one of the best gospel singer. Utando Hopper, who is a lawyer and a model. Those are people that I've mentioned who are living with albinism, because even them, they are counted as people who are living with disabilities. As IFP, we supported this item. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ndlovu.
Sibonge Somlomo. Persons with disabilities represent a diverse community whose rights, capabilities, and voices must be fully recognized and supported. They face unique barriers that impact access to education, employment, healthcare, and community life. To bridge these gaps, we must foster environments where inclusivity is not merely a goal, but a daily reality. To meet these obligations, therefore, the ANC caucus supports a recommendation that will enable the Association for Persons with Disabilities to promote an understanding of disabilities issues and the well-being for the persons with disabilities through International Day of Disabled Persons annual protective workshop, which is going to be held on the 28th of November 2024. Siyabonga Somlomo.
Thank you very much, councillors. Are the recommendations agreed? Next item, City Manager.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Page 35, item 2 is the report of the Community Services Committee meeting, which was held on the 23rd of the 10th, 2024, item 2.1, request for authority to rehabilitate community sports infrastructure in Ward 16. Committee recommends.
Thank you very much. I've got the speakers. IFP, Councillor J. Naidu, with 4 minutes donated from MOSA, TA, Al-Jama, and Action SA. Councillor Mwango, Councillor Hector, TA, Councillor Mnyandu, ANC, and Councillor Sokabas, ANC. In that order, Councillor J.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the IFP welcomes this program of infrastructure rehabilitation. Sports fields, like most assets in the municipality, have fallen into ruin. Over years, ablution blocks and change rooms have been completely vandalized and stripped. Furthermore, one will find that change rooms have become a haven for addicts and vagrants. In an environment of unprecedented unemployment, despondency amongst young people is high. Drug addictions and criminality have become an outlet. Sport and games as an activity promotes mental well-being and physical health. As the IFP, we welcome these rehabilitation of the sports grounds at both Road 5 sports field in Ward 89 and Makabeni in Ward 99. We hope that similar attention will be given to other sports grounds in the wards that also require equal attention. The IFP also calls for security to be installed where we have invested in our assets. The IFP welcomes this recommendation. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mngango, ngoba ninikele ngeminishi lenu, bengamele ngikubize. Ngoze ngiliphutha, Councillor Hector, DA.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Democratic Alliance definitely welcomes this intervention because, as was said by our colleague from the IFP, many of our facilities have degraded to the extent that they can't even be called sports facilities anymore. Our concern, however, is that we have dedicated departments in the city who are specialized in activities like this. We need to question, why is the rehabilitation of these facilities being taken away from the PRC and given to and being done directly by the DCM's office? I understand that the funding is coming from the DCM's office for the intervention, but does he have the specialized staff to do this? I don't believe so. The DCM, this should be done by PRC. And what we are seeing is that where you have Parks Department staff, senior officials who are unaware of what is happening in their areas. I've received reports from some of our colleagues where these interventions have started already, so obviously this is just yet again another rubber stamp from this council. But the point is that there's shoddy workmanship being done, and the PRC staff are sitting there and saying, well, we don't even know who's doing this to our facilities. So it's highly questionable, and this is not the first time that we have seen work taken away from Parks, Recreation and Culture and given to the DCM's office. Is the DCM now taking over the department? We also had the issue of where it's alleged that there were 25 sports fields that were meant to be upgraded, and there was questionable work done. In some cases, the work wasn't done, and apparently that's been investigated. And that is the reason that we were being told that it's now being done by the DCM's office. Surely it's the DCM's role to investigate the allegations and make sure that the department does their job properly, not to take over the work of the department. So we will support this, but we still question why is the department that is where there are people employed to do the job not being utilized to do the job. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hector.
Speaker,
Yes, Councillor Kupela.
Speaker, I think there's a misunderstanding. We did not donate any iskati kui IFP. It was the last item. On this item, we are speaking on it.
Okusho ukuthi le methi balintshontshile.
It was only for the previous item, Speaker. 1.4 only.
Inkinga la kubhala ukuthi page 35 item 2.1 Councillor Jane Knight we AFP une minute in Action SA. I think there's been a misunderstanding njengomakhelwane ake nixoxeni lapho. Ake nixoxeni. Councillor Mnyandu.
Speaker.
Mnyandu. Oh, Mnyandu akekho Councillor Kawasa.
Ukhona somlomo uKhansela uMnyandu, but we thought sizosho izinto ezifanayo.
No problem, you can proceed, Councillor Sokawasa.
Thank you. Bingelele ku Deputy Mayor, amakhosi aseNdlunkulu, namakhansela wonke nakuwe Speaker nomphathi dolopha. The matter at hand somlomo ngifisa ukclarify nje izinto ezincane esho ukhansela ukuthi this project yenziwa eofisini lika DCM. Yes, uqinisile. If something we see ukuthi ayenzeki ngendlela ekuhlaleni noma umsebenzi awenzeki ngendlela because uyena accounting manager wethu nathi sibuza kuyena izinto, he decided ukuthi ke awathathe because bekune cry as ukhansela uNaido we-IFP kadesho ukuthi most of the facilities ayinto engesabukeki kahle. So we give him imandate ukuthi akabone ukuthi wenze njani ukuthi ke awathathe abese officeini lakhe lawa enziwayo ilezo izathu zokuthi bengasebenzeki kahle la ebehlezi khona. So thina siwafuna ukuthi esebenzeke abe right for umphakathi. That's why ke enziwa yena naye futhi usiphephise ekuthenini ke sizolokhu sibuza kuyena ngoba thina sikhuluma nama official phansi sikhuluma naye esikhathini esiningi. Secondly, uthi there are many things esesithathiwe zayiswa laphayana. You'll remember ukuthi sibe namasalga ka 2022 if I'm not mistaken eNyukhasela where councillors of this committee and other councillors were complaining ngezinto ezithile. We then came back and ask DCM ukuthi akabona ukuthi wenze njani. So ke ingakho amasalga games and ahambisana ke nenqola yawo eThekwini games njengamanje esese officeini ka DCM just to make ukuthi kusebenzeke sewabona ukuthi enza lento esiyenzele kumphakathi ukuthi awenze because I department or abantu ababewanikiwe ngaleso sikhathi they mess up. Then amakhansela abuya naleyo solution ukuthi acela ukuthi for the meantime DCM our oversee. Now to the matter at hand, we are here just to request the authority council ukuthi finalize the work that we started in the last financial year in 2023 where we identify the sports field ukuthi adinga ukulungiswa. Now the money yaphela endleleni. Sitholeke imali now ukuthi sihambe siyowaqedela ku phase 2. That is our request ukuthi nisinikeze that authority ukuthi sikwazi ukusebenza. The other things uPRC une implementing agent architect. We don't do our facilities repairs. Siwasa kwa architect, then architect will do the scope and do the work. Ukuthi siyazenzela, I don't think kuyiqiniso lokho ukuthi abasebenzi bakhala ngokuthi umsebenzi abawenzi. Our employees awanawo ama skills or engineer none. We just have implementing agency architect ekuyiyona esenzela umsebenzi. So I don't think ukuthi ucancel ukukhuluma into eyiqiniso asingabakhohlisi abantu. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Councillor Sukhabase. Councillors, are the recommendation agreed? Mr. Mpele, next item, City Manager.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The next item is on page 37. It's item 2.2, a request to rescind previous council decision to erect 1860 indentured Indian labor monuments and grant authority to allocate for the KZN Premier to erect this monument. Committee recommends.
Right. Page 37, item 2.2. There is a reference back to the committee that is being submitted by Councillor Mwango from the Action SA, seconded by Councillor Kupega, which read as follows. I move as a procedural motion that the recommendations on page 37, item 2.2, be referred to the Executive Committee for further consideration on the following points, upon which the committee's advised on further advice is required. ESCO to meet with relevant stakeholders, 1860 inducted Indian Labour's Monument Committee. It's from Mwango and Councillor Kupega. There is a reference back, councillors. Is the proposal to refer the matter back to the committee supported?
No.
It is not supported, right? Okay, any contrary view? Okay, it means it will, Secretariat, it will be recorded as rejected by council. Thank you. Let's deal with the substantive item. I've got speakers on the item. Right. Councillor J. Anipen, Councillor S. Governor, they're both from the IFP. But now, Councillor Kupega, again, I've got the information in front of me that Action SA has donated minutes to the IFP. Councillor Mwango is the second speaker after the IFP. Mwango has got 4 minutes from ATM, APF, APC, and ACTP. Engathi izoba khona inkinga because uMnqwango uphisa ngelakhe iminutes aboleka abanye. Aphise ngeminute ubheka abafuna ukulithatha futhi.
No,
Angifuni umhlangano wami uqoveke. Lalelani. Angifuni umhlangano oniwe ukuphana ama minutes ngoba kusemthethweni. Kodwa asiphane ngendlela engezuphazamisa iflow yomhlangano. Ingakho ngiyifunda kahle kumele ngabe nginika lesi space enginika sona ngoba once kula kumele sikufunde kunjalo but lesirana umhlangano ngesihle so that nilungise leyo matter. Councillor Anipen, you are number one.
Speaker.
Sorry, Speaker.
Speaker, can we resolve this once and for all?
Hector will come. Councillor Nxumalo.
Yes, no, Speaker, I think we have asked the minute in the 1.4 only to the Action SA.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. Matter is clarified. Thank you. Councillor Hector.
Thank you, Speaker. Before you proceed, I'd like to table an amendment.
You want to table an amendment?
Correct.
No problem, you can do so.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, it's basically just to correct some of the wording in the recommendations. So if we look at item 2.2.1, the item should read that the council rescinds the decision to grant authority to the Parks Recreation and Culture Unit to erect the 1860 Indentured Labourers Monument along the Ushaka Marine Promenade. At the moment, it reads that the committee rescinds the decision.
Okay.
And the second amendment, Mr. Speaker, is item 2.2.3, where again it refers to the subject to the adoption of 1 and 2 above. The council grants authority to the city manager to conclude a memorandum of understanding. And then at the end of that, I request that we just add that the indentured labourers monument, when it has been erected, be transferred to the city. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much. That is the proposed amendment. Who second the amendment so that we proceed? Yes, Councillor Penn, second the amendment. I can confirm it has been signed. Councillors, the proposed amendment on 2.1, 2.2.1 and 2.2.3 supported? Supported. Okay. Thank you. Let's go back to the substantive item. Councillor Che, Anipen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the IFP welcomes this decision by the province of KwaZulu-Natal to erect a monument in recognition of the contributions made by the Indian diaspora in South Africa. No one can deny that the Indian community in South Africa have made an indissoluble and an irreversible mark on the social, economic, and political landscape of our nation. From the building of schools, clinics, frail care centers, homes for orphan children, and the list goes on, the Indian diaspora have entrenched itself in the fabric of the South African nation. Anti-apartheid veterans from this community fought alongside their black counterparts in an effort to realize a non-racial, non-sexist, unified South Africa. The IFP also congratulates the Honorable Premier for this bold and decisive move. It is indicative of his political tutelage, that which he received from the late Prince Buthelezi. It is also indicative of a spirit of Ubuntu and unity and nation building. He was able to do in his first 5 months in office what his predecessors failed to do in more than a decade. The IFP welcomes these recommendations to rescind the previous decision and make land provision. The IFP places on record its deep and sincere appreciation to the Indian diaspora in South Africa. They have helped to shape our rainbow nation. As long as the IFP remains as part of the political representation in South Africa, we assure them and all other minority groups that we will continue to lobby for the preservation and protection of minority groups as an invaluable part of our country. I thank you.
Thank you. Councillor S. Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Real heroes unite communities. A remarkable statement made by His Excellency Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, one of history's greatest leaders of Africa. It is undoubtedly welcome and significant that the Premier of KZN erect this 1860 Indian monument commemorating the 150-year anniversary, as the Premier follows in the footsteps of his great IFP mentor. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mwango.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, there is a long history on this project. While it is a good initiative to honor the history of Indian laborers in this country, I think it's important to highlight and the reason why as Action SA we were proposing a reference back to Executive Committee is because this initiative started in 2010 by the former Premier, Zweli Mkhize. When he started this project, it was a welcomed initiative, but he then established a committee from Indian leaders, and the money was transferred to the city. But when you look here, we are not addressing the reason why the money was returned to the province. The sole reason for that was that in that committee, there were no consensus in terms of the actual design, because some of the proposal, they felt it symbolized colonialism. And Speaker, we don't want to go back to the issue of King Shaka statue. That had to be redone because of the lack of consultation and in agreement on the design itself. So currently, Honourable Speaker, what was before the committee was the symbol of a bell, which the Indian leaders felt it's an insult to them to say you'll erect a bell as a monument for them. And there was a counter proposal that says rather have a lady and a man maybe carrying a sugar cane as a symbol of what happened. So religious dispute. Hence we are saying rather resolve those issues first before you say you jump, because it's not clear here whether the Premier have actually engaged first with this committee and agreed. From the background that one has, there has been no agreement or engagement with this committee. And there are even threats, Honourable Speaker, from the leaders themselves, who said if the city were to erect this monument and they feel it's insulting, they will physically take it down. Now, there's a critical issue to say, while it's a good project, good initiative, but I think we must act responsible as leaders. Now, you can imagine 2010 to date, we don't ask ourselves, what has been this bottleneck? Can we then go back and address it? So I think maybe through ESCO, maybe the mayor can be delegated to meet with the committee before we even erect this monument. As I'm telling you, Speaker, at a moment, it's likely to be the bell, and they feel the bell symbolizes colonialism to them, and they feel it's an insult to put such a monument as a symbol of how they came to this country. So now, why, as this council, will act irresponsible, knowing very well what has been the critical issue over 14 years? Can we then address those issues first, Honourable Speaker, before this council make this decision? But obviously, it looked like a council is keen to support this proposal, but I will caution, Honourable Speaker, because we do support the idea, we do support the recommendation. However, there should be engagement, and those engagement must take place, because I don't want in future to say, we warned you. That's I'm saying, Honourable Speaker. I hope the mayor will really take this, or deputy mayor, to engage with the committee and the Premier and resolve those issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mwango. Councillor S. Maharaj, MF. Councillor L. Shange, EFF. Councillor Mazibugo, ANC. And Councillor Mngadi, the last speaker, ANC.
Speaker,
Yes, Councillor.
I am also on this list to speak.
On item 2.2.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that's true. It's just that your name is there to Councillor Hector, who have already spoken on the amendment. Apologies for that. Let's do this. Councillor Maharaj, not here. Councillor Kavenda, you are the next. Then after you, Shange is not here. Then Mazibugo, are you in Mazibugo?
Shange is here, Speaker.
Shange is here, okay.
Yes.
Then after Kavenda is Shange, then Mazibugo, then Mngadi. Councillor Kavenda?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the issues surrounding the commissioning of statues has always been a thorny issue, often resulting in bloated over-expenditure of taxpayers' money that many believe should be spent on service delivery. But then there are statues which mean a great deal to the community, like the great King Shaka statue, and here the statue for the commemorative 1860 indentured laborers. This particular item speaks to the 1860 monument, which started in 2010, and it's now 2024, 14 years later, with the Indian community seemingly treated with contempt, as there is no urgency in finalizing this, whilst it's being tossed about like a hot potato between eThekwini municipality and the provincial government. Now, in all of the reports of recent, you quote that the reason for the delay is that the representatives of the Indian community were unable to agree on the design. And as the DA, we strongly condemn this blame shifting to the Indian community or their representatives to cover inaction and shoddy treatment of this important item. We have done our research as well, and it seems that the design issue only emanated around 2021. In fact, our information is that the initial 30-man committee, which comprised representatives of the Indian community from across KZN, had agreed on a design. The design, we are told, was that of the statues of the Indian cane cutters, as mentioned by the previous speaker. And for some reason, it is alleged that this committee was replaced by one of your ministers and replaced by members of the ANC, who in their wisdom thought that a slave bell would be more befitting. And that's when the dispute started. Now, we don't have to go on and on about how offensive a slave bell would mean to our community. I don't need to spell this out. That idea was for the reps and the Indian community repulsive. And I also have it on good authority that this will be rejected with contempt if you go ahead with this design. And it will be removed. There are threats that it will be removed if it is erected. Now let's turn to what happened with the King Shaka monument and the warning that was issued earlier, wherein the same expensive mistakes happened and it incensed the affected communities. Now, this has done so much damage to these communities, and these statues had to be redone, not once, not twice, but I think it's the third attempt. These commemorative events are special and appreciated by communities, yet they become tainted by politics and the gross expenditure that follows them every time they are pushed from pillar to post, which also occasions avoidable delays. Now, we keep tossing money about to bring this matter onto the council agenda every few years. Is it to appease tick boxes? But 14 years later, all we have done, all that is tangible, is somebody turned a spade in the soil. The Indian community deserves better. eThekwini, you need to do better and stop deflecting blame. Accept that you and the provincial government failed to fast-track this, failed to bring peace, and failed to bring finality to this very important matter. And the large amount of the delay from 2010 to 2021, where is the blame to be apportioned? Not on the design dispute. We support this item, but we will hold to account those who are seized with this important responsibility. Noting that the Indian community in South Africa is the largest community outside of India, I think that they should be treated with more respect. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kavenda. Councillor Shange.
Buelane Bombay.
Greetings, Speaker. It is with great sadness to find the office of the Premier be held ransom, but
Speaker.
just resent of the monarch.
Councillor Shange, Councillor.
I really do apologize for disturbing Councillor Shang, but I think because it's going to go on this council record that one of the councillors here is saying Indian committee must go back to Bombay, I think we must all reject that with the contempt it deserves, whoever that councillor is. It cannot be done in our name. Thank you.
Where is Bombay?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Mcheto. You are correct. That is wrong. That is very wrong. It cannot be said in council. It reflects bad about all of us here as council members. Whoever said that is wrong. It does not represent or reflect the views of council. Proceed, Councillor Shange.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings, Speaker, again. It is with great sadness to find the office of the Premier be held.
Councillor Mngango.
Honourable Speaker, sorry, I had my hand up. Honourable Speaker, I hear your ruling, but I don't think it's enough. That statement is racist. I think you should try and find out because it came from the ANC bench. I think it's important to find out who's dead.
Order.
Okay, find
Well,
out.
it came from the side. It's a racist statement.
Order.
Usosaba ukubheka manje. Usaba ukubheka.
Order. Councillor Mngango. Order, councillors. Order. There's no need for how.
Ovizwe lo.
Kahle.
Ovizwe.
Councillors, order. Anginazi nibona ingeno yini.
But Speaker, where is Bombay?
Order. There's no need for howling, councillors. Councillor Mthethwa brought the matter to my attention while I was listening to Councillor Shange. A ruling or a statement on behalf of council, which distance council. We also warning whoever said that is wrong. But let's not make that matter delay council to proceed with its business. Because whoever said that, but council have already made a necessary pronouncement. Let's accept that council doesn't proceed.
Speaker.
Councillor Shange? Councillor Shange?
Not accepted,
Speaker.
Speaker, not
Speaker.
accepted.
Yes.
Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Kavenda?
Speaker, that's not acceptable, sir. Speaker, I think you're a bit too complacent in your ruling, and you need to get to the bottom of that because it's a racial comment. I think as a council, and you are the person who's in charge here today, you should take more action against that.
Yeah, you see, Councillor Kavenda, order. You see, Councillor Kavenda, in council, the ruling of the speaker is final. We accept that it might happen, then sometimes you disagree, you are not happy with the speaker's ruling. Unfortunately, rules empower the speaker to make such ruling. It doesn't mean that in most the time you will be happy with those. Let's accept the ruling that the speaker have made and proceed with the council.
But Mr. Speaker, you often make that mistake. You often make that mistake. Please take more control.
Order, Councillor.
Shuthi asiyeke singakhulumi.
Order, Councillor Kavenda. Councillor Shange, proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. It is with great sadness to find the office of the Premier be held ransom by just resent of the monument, while our people are in a devastating situation in various places around eThekwini. If it is way up to us, we will have reprioritized this fund to better lives of our marginalized communities, because it is the same Indian communities that stopped this project. I thank you, Speaker. EFF abstain.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Shange. Councillor Mazibuko? Councillor Mazibuko?
Is not in.
Okay, Councillor Mngadi?
Thank you, Speaker. At some stage, I thought my colleagues were talking about something else, not this item, because it's clear the items say something else, and some of them, they are saying total opposite. And here it says we request the council to rescind the decision that was taken by the council. Now, all this history that they are talking about, it have nothing to do with what we're here for today. So as the African National Congress, we request the council to support this item because the Premier's office wrote a letter requesting us to let this go, to let this item be done by Premier's office. So as African National Congress, we request everyone to support this. And my fellow colleague on that side from EFF, I don't know what ransom she's talking about. I think lento yokubhalelwa ispeech ibuye ikwenza ukhuluma izinto wrong
Yeah, thank you very much. Councillors, are the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
Abstain.
City Manager, next item.
EFF abstain, Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Recorded. City Manager.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Item 2.3 on page 38, request to conduct community-based planning zonal workshops. Committee recommends.
Councillors, are all the recommendation agreed?
Agreed.
City Manager, next
Item
item.
2.4, request for project authority and identification of savings to undertake critical capital projects at Umlazi AA Clinic. Committee recommends.
Thank you very much. Of course, speakers from IFP, Councillor J. Naidu and Councillor N. Chainchai. There is a 3 minutes donated to the IFP so that Secretariat, you note that from Mosa, GA, and Al Jama. Then ANC, the third speaker would be Councillor Pewa. Then the fourth and the last speaker would be Councillor Sokabase. In that order, Councillor J, you are the first speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the IFP welcomes the stance that the municipality is taking to upgrade and improve clinics and its infrastructure. For too long, the issue of provincialization of clinics has led to the buck being passed between the province and the municipality. It is interesting to note that the new SLA signed earlier this year between the province and the municipality has brought the issue into sharp focus. Having access to primary health care in wards is very important. For many communities, access to hospitals is difficult due to distance and transportation costs. The IFP calls on the unit to not only conduct an audit of clinics, but to do something about those not in compliance of occupational health, safety standards, building regulations, and national cost standards for clinics. Getting the province's commitment on the funding mandates is extremely important. As the IFP, we call on the head of health and the city manager to act with speed. Communities are perishing in poor health. In Ward 99, the Mkomas Clinic is in operation despite having been condemned years ago. Clearly, there is no will to care for the poor. The health unit needs to take its function seriously. In October 2024, 2 clinics, again in Mkomas and Craigieburn, were disconnected by ESCOM for failure by eThekwini to pay the bill. Patients over a period of 4 weeks were deprived of services. Speaker, I also referenced the AA clinic in Umlazi, which failed to have a doctor present for patient appointments. This was discovered by the IFP during a site visit. The health unit must do better. As the IFP, we support this recommendation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor J. Councillor Chai.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm covered.
Thank you very much, Councillor Pewa. Councillor Sokabasa.
Thanks, Somlomo. The committee is just requesting ukuthi i-cancel i-grant ukuthi sikwazi ukusebenzisa lama savings just to rehabilitate i-clinic yawa AA because isimo eksona ayiwamithi ama requirements ukuthi ibe i-clinic ngokufanelekile. I-infrastructure yakhona i-infrastructure endala. We just wanted to do ama renovations so that it will make standards and norms akhona kwi-country for ama clinics wonke. That is the report in front of us. Sicela nje leyo request. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. So covers the councillors. Are all the recommendations agreed?
No.
Item, City Manager.
No, Speaker. ACTP abstain.
Okay, let's record that. City Manager.
Item 2.5, request for authority to reprioritize health capital budget for 2024-2025 to cater for Umlazi G Clinic project. Committee recommends.
Are the recommendations agreed, councillors? City Manager.
Item number 3 is the report of the Finance Committee from their meeting which was held on the 17th and the 24th of the 10th, 2024. Item 3.1, report on debt owing by Zolosco Investment Pty Ltd. Committee recommends.
All right, page 40, so please, eh?
Yes, sir.
Item 3.1.
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Mwango, you are number 1. Councillor McPherson, you are number 2. Councillor Mzimela, you are number 3, and the last speaker. In that order, Councillor Mwango.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We note the item before us, but I think it's important that in future, as the municipality, we need to learn from this experience. If it means we have to amend our policies to cover these cases, I think we need to look at that, which section of the policies should be amended so that when a developer comes and they default as this one, we don't find ourselves wanting and battling in courts. I think we need to find a way how we can resolve these issues in future. But maybe as a finance committee, we will look at the recommendations and how we can overcome this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mwango. Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Speaker. We fully support this recommendation. And we spoke about it in the Finance Committee, but we, for the sake of good order, want to just amplify why we've supported this and what should be further thought through. The reason that we've got to the point of enforcing the National Building Regulations Act 103 of 1997 was because the building caught fire, was so badly damaged that the city instructed Zolosco, owned by, I'm assuming, a Chinese holding company called Xinhao. The city instructed them to demolish the building because it was unsafe. The company not only didn't demolish the building, but it failed to pay utility charges, it failed to pay rates, and it failed to pay, and it then further failed to pay for the demolition charges that went with it, amounting to 32 million. Now, I doubt that the land value, because that's all that the value will be left, will be 32 million. So I have no doubt that the city is still going to suffer a material loss here or a financial loss. But the message here is that we don't need to wait for a fire, Speaker, to enforce the national building regulations. Further in the report, or shall I say in the next report, there are 492 unauthorized and illegal structures that need urgent attention. We don't need to wait for a fire. We don't need to wait for a death. We don't need to wait for an injury The lesson to be learned here is to go out and do exactly what the city's done now, and that's to enforce this act. Close them down, demolish, recover, collect rates before we have a similar situation where there's an abandonment and the costs far outweigh the collection value. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kazam Zimela.
Thank you, Speaker, councillors, and the leadership. Nomphakathi sanibingelela. ANC kulolu daba iyalibona kakhulu kodwa ukuthi nje ngoba selisenkantolo asikwazi ukungena kakhulu kulona singathi lu subject care. Kodwa ke ama recommendation akhona la siyawancoma kakhulu azosilekelela ukulungisa lolu daba. I thank you.
Thank you very much, councillors. All the recommendations on page 42 are agreed. Settlement, next item.
Next item is item 3.2, report on billing for the month of September 2024. Committee recommends.
3.2, page 43. Of course, speakers, Councillor J. Anipen, IFP, with 3 minutes, donated Mosa T.A. Al-Jama. Councillor from the Freedom Front Plus, Councillor Van Reest, Councillor Mzimel, Councillor McPherson after the Freedom Front Plus, then Mzimela from the ANC will be the last. In that order, Councillor Anipen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I begin by saying...
Order, Speaker.
Yes.
Speaker, just to check, if councillors are not in council, can they donate their minutes?
No, they can't. They can't. Proceed, Councillor Anipen.
So, Speaker, just check your last one where minutes were donated. Councillors are not in council, Speaker.
They are not. Okay, the problem when they donate minutes, they don't inform us when they leave. We work on the records in front of us, but I think we are bringing the important information. The Secretariat will check for me so that when I mention those parties, I get an indication whether they're still in council meeting or not. Councillor Anipen, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I begin by saying what we said as the IFP at the Finance Committee level. As the IFP, we welcome the move by the committee to deal with revenue matters in the manner in which it is currently being dealt with. The quality of reports that the Finance Committee is now receiving has not been seen before. It brings with it a remarkable degree of transparency and allows for thorough interrogation. The IFP notes that the vacant land rebate program is gaining good momentum, but we would like to see more advertising of this opportunity so that other customers may take advantage of it. We would also like to see how billing is being conducted for social housing institutions. Institutions such as KZN Social Housing and First Metro Social Housing Companies. These are customers of the municipality who have no mercy on their own tenants, but owe us as a city millions of rand in rates and services. Also, how are we going to recover this and how are we billing developers such as Woodglaze and so forth? We are impressed by the increase in the number of meters that have been read by the electricity department, but remained incredibly concerned by the number of unread meters in the water department. We discussed this in detail at the Finance Committee, and we said that where these items are concerned, where water meters are concerned and they're not being read, it leaves us in a situation where in many instances customers have underground leaks that are undetected and they depend on having their meters read to see whether the consumption has increased over a particular period or not, and not having these meters read disadvantage our customers because they can no longer participate in the water loss insurance program because the prescription of time has lapsed. We also note the report and hope that we will see greater improvement in the coming months in terms of how billing is rolled out. We would also like to see how we start to address the issue of housing loans and housing rentals for tenants of the municipality, so that we can deal with accounts that are in areas in that regard, and we can address the issues that are faced by council tenants, because there are other opportunities available to them through the enhanced extended benefit that comes from KZN human settlements. And I think if we start making that available to our tenants as well, we'll also be able to recover more revenue from customers. All in all, the IFP supports this or notes this report, and again, very pleased with the format of the reports, and congratulates the officials who are responsible for it. I thank you.
Freedom Front Plus.
Thank you, Speaker. Congratulations to the municipality from the Vryheids Front Plus on the 100,000 people registered on the municipality app to assist in billing. This makes up about 9% of the 1.2 million households, and it relieves the burden on the municipality with prompt statements and meter readings. To further improve this, we need to prioritize access to Wi-Fi hotspots in the city. We also need to improve latency on the app. There must be a design flaw or bottleneck, because it's often running slow, and this deters persons from using the app. Also focus on the app, how to use it, especially capturing meter readings. As we have residents giving feedback to saying that they're battling to use the thing and then they deem it useless, which is clearly not the case. I believe councillors also need to be able to view issues loaded on this app in their respective areas to be able to address issues and assist with prompt service delivery. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Speaker. Now, this report is for noting, and as the Democratic Alliance, we've consistently said we want to be part of the solution of saving eThekwini from collapse. Even if it means, Speaker, using platforms such as this to go through some important points in these reports, so that we can turn it around. And as my colleague, Councillor Hans de Boer, said earlier, if we implement changes early enough, we can fix the problem. So when we indicate a completeness of billing of 99.99%, does not mean, Speaker, that we're collecting 99.99% of revenue. Where I disagree with the previous speaker from the IFP on the reading of the water meters and electricity meters, and this comes later in the agenda, well, not too far away, but there's an alarming 22% of all meter readers, 22%, Speaker, that remain unread between 90 and 365 days and more. 22%. Electricity meters are worse, 38%. 38%, it's here in the document. How do we expect our hard-pressed...
Order.
Cha ungena ufufunyane lo speaker.
Councillor Kwela. Akade amazwi akho ngoba uzoshiya umhlangano ungaqondile. Councillors, the team that assist us to make this meeting live streaming to our social network, they are doing a marvelous job. But I observed while Councillor McPherson was on the floor, the councillor sitting next to him, Councillor Tipo, is being destructive. Because you appear on the screen making some gestures while the councillor is debating. Let's respect speakers on the floor and respect our meeting. Therefore, let's proceed, Councillor McPherson, without a disruption from your neighbor. Proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. I thought it was to give reference to page 44. If there were any doubts about my percentages of unread water meters and unread electricity meters. So just to repeat, 38% of electricity meters unread between 90 and 365 days. That has to change if you want stable revenue collection. Properties that are rated on page 45 totals 552,000, Speaker. But when you strip it down, there's only 329,000 of those which fall within the residential category, and 24,000 which are commercial and industrial. It's 353,000 properties that fall within the rateable category. That leaves almost 200,000 which needs to be subsidized. Now, there's no issue. We get cross-subsidization, and it's important. But the point here that's being made, and it pops up later, is one of the main reasons of non-compliance of rates and utilities is poor service delivery. So if we're going to protect our rate base, Speaker, that's where it starts, at service delivery. And that's why these numbers are important. In the same report, Speaker, 492 properties unauthorized and illegal developments. What should we be doing? They should be rezoned. Their rates change from residential, I'm assuming in this instance, to commercial, and punished. Because if you're operating businesses in a residential component, you're cheating. And these are the low-hanging fruits that we should be focused on. And again, where I disagree with the Speaker from the IFP on the vacant land, 10% is not enough. And in the next budget, that has to change, Speaker. Only 20 in the month of September of the 35,000 applied for the 10% rebate. And we've got to do a much better job because they are bleeding. Owners of land that are wanting to development are absolutely hemorrhaging. And so I make these points on this platform so that, as you rightly point out, Speaker, that those that are listening in online get the role of the Democratic Alliance. We're here to balance it, and we're here to be the voice for those that don't have an opportunity to have a platform like this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mzimela.
Ngibingelele Speaker, ngibingelele kume Deputy Mayor namakhansela onke nomphakathi. Firstly, I want to say on the September month, I don't know, my colleague, where the status reading is coming from, because on the September month, the collection rate, the target was 95%, but we went to 99%. So I don't know where this stats that is giving the council is coming from. But also I want to mention that as the committee, we have implemented the council resolution to migrate the meter reading function from the trading services to revenue from 1 October 2024. So one of that reason is to make sure that there is an improvement in collection in the revenue department. Also encourage residents to download the mobile app, because the mobile app iyalekelela nalama complaint akhona ukuthi ngibhilwe kakhulu kwenzekeni, so you pay for what you have consumed. So we encourage also community to then use this mobile app so that customers can submit water readings and have access on the monthly basis on what they have consumed. But also I want to highlight that there is a report on high billing and plan of action, because ikhona lento yokuthi abantu bekhale ngokuthi bakhokha kakhulu and kunama complaint. So the committee agreed to continue, the committee agreed that they've been receiving complaint and objection from customers on high bills stemming from the current billing system. Some of the factors that have resulted in high billing include, among others, unidentified water leaks, poor management of the indigent processes, tampering with infrastructure, and prolonged water estimation without actual readings. Ikakhulukazi nje kule poor management of indigent processes. Because baningi abantu abagcina bengasakhokhi ngoba belindele outcome. Because you'll find ukuthi ugogo kwele 200,000. 100,000 ugogo ngeke aze afford, but uyambona ukuthi uyaqualify ku indigent policy. But because some processes ahamba kancane, lokho ku reflecta kwi report of the municipality as if we are failing collection yethu kanti abantu abasikweletayo abantu reality cannot afford. So we have action plan, we have sent a report, we have advised the Office of the DCM Finance to develop a strategy to deal with the high bills. We are happy to report that this strategy has been developed and the process through Finance Portfolio Committee and the EXCO. The plan contains the mitigation. One second. Yeah. So in other words, we are saying we are instructing the administration to improve on this issue of high billing. I thank you, Speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Mzimela. Councillors, are the recommendation agreed? Thank you very much. The time now is 12:57. We are going to break for lunch. I'm going to give you an hour, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. The reason why I'm giving an hour is because the second supplementary agenda has been emailed to all of you. It is being circulated as well. I'm giving you time to have refreshments and also to have caucuses for the agenda you have received now. But whips of parties and all of you, Council, let's maintain discipline. By 2 o'clock, let's all be here seated so that to continue with our meeting. Thank you. We're breaking for lunch.
Speaker,
Yes, Councillor Kavenda.
sorry, I just want to confirm, on the email, you've attached a second sub and a fourth. Is there a third?
No. We'll deal with that outside the meeting. Let's break for lunch.
So how do we do a speaker's list?
No. The team will attend you. Pelini will assist you.
You must be hungry.
All ESCO members Please settle down. Take your seat. We are continuing with our meeting. We are on page 64, item 3.5. The acting city manager, Dr. Sandile Mnguni, is here because Mr. Mpele is requested to be excused to attend in urgent matter. We now have Dr. Mnguni as the acting city manager. I will invite him to read the next item in our agenda. Mnguni?
Thank you very much, Babu Speaker. Good afternoon to yourself, the honorable councillors, members of ESCO, Babu Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Whip, and the colleagues and the members of media. The first item that I will be dealing with is item 3.5, progress report on the transfer of meter reading functions from trading services to revenue management, September 2024. The report is here for noting.
Speaker? No. Speaker, just a point of order. No, we are not at 3.5. We are at 3.4.
We're on 3.4, eh? Okay, yes, you are correct. Yes, you are correct. We are... No.
3.3.
3.3.
Yeah.
3.3, yes. We're on 3.3. Apologies, Dr. Nguni, for referring you to a wrong item. We are on page 50, item 3.3.
Thank you. Item 3.3 is data's collection report for the month of September 2024. The report is here for noting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are speakers on this item. I have Councillor Anipen with a minute from Mosa, TA in Al Chama. I've got Councillor Mwango with a minute from HM, APF, ACTP, and Councillor Kasa from the ANC. Councillor Anipen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, debt collection is crucial for the city to remain sustainable and be able to provide service to ratepayers. The IFP notes with concern that private companies, housing developers, and social housing institutions fail to pay this council hundreds of millions of rand in rates and services, despite the fact that no one in this municipality is able to explain how these developers has had services such as electricity, water, and sewage services connected to these developments without proper compliance certification and in defiance of the building regulations and bylaw. Mr. Speaker, as the IFP, we want to see action taken to recover monies from social housing developers. It will be worth noting that in April 2021, a presidential proclamation was handed to our city, and it is with the city manager's office. This proclamation indicates that some 400 million rand must be recovered from these developers for misrepresenting social housing development. The IFP calls for this matter to be placed on our agenda as a standing item to receive updates on progress being made by the city manager's office to recover this money. These are developers who heartlessly kick out and evict tenants when they fail to pay their rental, but we as a city have become so lenient with them that we're dragging our feet to recover monies, and may I add, it is ratepayers' monies. We are concerned that the decision taken by this council to enlist debt collectors to recover debt, an initiative expected to commence on the 1st of December 2024, will go unchallenged. We request that this be reconsidered in light of the ongoing debt relief program, which is ending on the 31st of December in this year. All in all, we are pleased that the Revenue Department is making these efforts to collect revenue, and there has been some increase in its collection. The deceased estates and insolvent estate write-off is again a welcome initiative, but we hope to have updates and a progress report on this with proper stats and figures. We also believe that, as articulated in the Finance Committee, that spouses married in community or property should be allowed to participate in the program. And I think that while the program does make some allowances for these options, it must be properly articulated to the different departments, the Sizakala centers and so forth. The disconnection of schools remains a great concern as well, but we are glad that a decision was taken that we would not disconnect schools, public schools in particular, during the examination sessions. We hope that schools will take full advantage of the opportunity to have prepaid electricity meters installed on their plants, and we hope that the municipality will take the time to get this information out to the different offices of the Department of Education in the different district offices and so forth, and perhaps if we can have an engagement with the Department of Education and Public Works to engage them further on how this program can be rolled out. This will address the issue of incorrect billing as well as bloated electricity bills. We also need to engage with the department, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that there's an understanding between the Department of Education and Public Works, because of course the number of leaks on properties is also contributing to the debt of schools. Again, all in all, the IFP will note the report because it is clear that there's been some improvement, and again we congratulate the officials for putting the report together. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mngango. Oh, yeah. Bekolisile siyakhumbula. Thank you. Yes, siyakhumbula. Councillor Kasa.
Asibingelele kakhulu Somlomo kulendli yakho hloniphekileyo. Cha njenge-ANC siyafuna ukusho ukuthi seneme kakhulu ngale debt collection yethu which is sitting at 95%, which surpasses abanye omasipala abasezingeni lethu. Now, as the ANC, we acknowledge that our debtors have increased exponentially. So, ingakho besilokhu siqhamuka nama debt relief nanjengamanje ikhona nje ngenhloso yokuthi sikwazi ukumitigate against the intermittent economic climate. Kodwa siyafuna ukusho ukuthi kubukeka imisebenzi eyenziwayo lapha ka revenue imihle kakhulu, ngakho njengokhongolose seneme kakhulu ngezinto ezenziwayo. Siyayinota le report. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, councillors. Councillors, the recommendation
Speaker?
noted.
Noted.
Sorry, Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Kabena.
We had submitted Councillor McPherson's name on our list earlier. I note that you didn't read his name out as well.
On this item.
Yes,
Yeah, he's not here.
it was submitted, Speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor McPherson is not here. Councillor McPherson?
Thank you, Speaker. While this report is again for noting, I think that there's some important highlights that need to be aired on this platform. And it's a couple of them we've consistently, as the Democratic Alliance, highlighted as a sense of urgency. You know, when we put out a red flag, we put out a red flag, Speaker, for good reason. The state of debtors is now at an alarming 34.6 billion. I repeat the number, 34.6 billion. It's half of our budget. If we don't arrest this, and if we don't get on top of it, we're going to have a financial collapse. And I don't say that randomly, because, Speaker, it says above the 34.6 billion, the debt is rising at 3% per month. Per month, not per year. We don't even have economic growth of 3% every 2 years. And here we have our debt rising at 3% per month. It's a staggering 36% year on year. The debt grew by 7.3 billion, dear friends and colleagues, in the last 12 months. It's unsustainable. And we can go through all the reasons why what's been documented here: dissatisfaction with service delivery and increasing tariffs and property values, which I spoke to earlier. But the minority ratepayers, Speaker, cannot be saddled with this debt. They can't pick up the non-collection of revenue. It's unsustainable. It shows, to make matters worse, if you look at the diagram, that water, just direct water revenue, water sold, water bought, contributes 39% of the uncollected debt. Now, we've spoken about this previously, that most likely most of this debt, water debt, is going to be written off. So in terms of a balance sheet, Speaker, if it shows that we've got 34.6 billion collectible, and one would imagine if when you go for a loan, you have a look at what you're billing and what is collectible, it's likely that 13 billion is not going to be collectible just on water alone. That's without the other bad debts that we're writing off, which probably equates to 7 billion. And we need to have an honest account of this 34.6 billion growing at 3% per month. Where is the city headed?
Speaker.
Yes.
It's Councillor Nxumalo here.
Nxumalo.
No, it's a point of clarity, Speaker, by the words that was said by the Speaker that says, I quote, the minority who pays the rates. What does that mean? Does that mean the majority does not pay the rates? Who are those minorities?
May I elaborate? It's a very good question. It really is.
I've asked that to Speaker.
Order.
I've directed that to Speaker.
Order. That question, Councillor Nxumalo, won't be responded to. Proceed with the debate, Councillor McPherson.
Okay, I think that it was such a really good question. There's 4.2 million people in eThekwini that require services, and there's only 320,000 residential ratepayers. So that's why I talk about, and I'm not talking about ethnicity, I'm talking about the number of people that live here and the number of people that contribute rates.
Councillor McPherson, when we're putting your name here, you wanted to debate the item.
You make a good point. My apologies.
I'm avoiding a dialogue.
Sorry, my apologies.
Just focus on the debate.
You're absolutely right. So in conclusion, well, there is no conclusion because this is ongoing. And I want to support one of the previous speakers, and I see our mayor's not here, which is unfortunate because I direct a lot of credit to him in the way that the Finance Committee has been run. And so we hold good hope as the Democratic Alliance. We want to be part of the solution. Why?
The mayor is here. The mayor is here.
Apologies, is he back? Okay, I thought he had been replaced temporarily. Okay, but I see he's back. I'm pleased. Otherwise, I would have gone and fetched him myself. But why I'm surprised, Speaker, is that it says that it's noted. By the way, the head of revenue is awesome as well. We can't lose him. The debt reduction strategy, I asked my colleagues, and my apologies if this has been adopted, but has this been formally adopted in another committee or another space? Because this is really, the strategy on page 56 is a strategy. And if it's to be noted, it needs to be noted with comment that it's actually adopted, because this is going to become the working document of the Finance Committee. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Speaker.
Yeah, thank you very much, councillors. Are the recommendation noted? Acting City Manager, the next item.
Thank you. The next item is 3.4, report on high bills and plan of action. Committee recommends.
On 3.4, I've got speakers. Councillor J. Anipen, 3 minutes. Mosa T.A. Al-Jama. Councillor Pega, Councillor Pekte, D.A., Councillor Nala, ANC. In that order, Councillor Anipen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we note the reasons advanced for high accounts as they are presented in the report. Of course, it's fundamental for us to understand what these reasons are for the high accounts in order for the municipality to address them and in order to ensure that we recover the debt. As articulated before, the lengthy estimations of readings for water and electricity must be addressed. Now, we note that in the previous month, there has been some increase in the number of meters that have been read, and the explanation of how that has been addressed was ventilated at the last Finance Committee meeting. But we cannot become stagnant and lackadaisical. We have to see some increase in these numbers. The plan of action must also include the presidential proclamation to recover, like I said previously, the grants from social housing developers. And I think what is essential, Mr. Speaker, has also been articulated by previous speakers, is the issue of the indigent support program. Now, the program has a number of requirements, one of which is, and I think this is essential, is the issue of property value. Now, I'm not sure what the idea behind property value as a requirement is, but the indigent support policy also speaks to, or speaks directly to, high bills, because customers don't qualify, or residents don't qualify for this, and the debt continues to grow, and this is because the property values are above the threshold. And I think what must be mentioned, Mr. Speaker, is that we have to deal with this issue, and property value should really not be a requirement at all. It really should be based on the means test and income-based as opposed to the property value, because in many instances, even the property value is unfair, and that needs to be re-looked at as well. What is very concerning, I think all of us at the committee were quite alarmed at how the coding, the rates coding change for illegal and unauthorized land use, especially where residential customers have small businesses and so forth in their properties, or if they've developed. The charges are punitive, and that must be addressed. We also want to see the process of smart meters accelerated, of the rolling out of those smart meters, both for water and electricity. We also need to re-look at how we rate properties, because whatever system we're using now is really not working for us. Again, Mr. Speaker, we do believe that the plan of action will address the concerns we have for high billing, but we need to look at some of these options with the indigent policy as well as